Welcome to the Intuitive Therapist Podcast with Janis Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janis will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as the angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janis R. Cohen.
Hey y'all, this is Janis Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist, here on the Intuitive Therapist Podcast. As many of y'all can tell, I'm a little nasal. I'm getting over a sinus infection, feeling good, and then of course we have the pollen. So that is making me sound extra sexy today. But I just wanted to let you know I'm doing all right and wanted to continue to offer you good content, and hopefully you'll find it valuable. Today I want to talk about what to do when you're at a crossroads. We're, especially this time with the coronavirus, it's really tough. And we all have to kind of figure out how we're going to be living in these times. And I'm so sorry for those of you that have suffered loss with family or with finances and really have had to shift how you're going to live. And so, in part, there's some information today that I want to share. But I really want to talk to you about when you need some advice, whether it's in business or romance or health or anything, just in terms of making decisions. There are really the three people you should actually take advice from, and I want to talk about that today. We've all been at crossroads in our lives and not known what direction to take. And oftentimes we reach out to people who are in our general vicinity and with whom we spend our most time. And that's kind of pretty natural. But can those people really give us the best advice? I thought about three people that would be really great to get advice from that would be actually more sound for you. First, people who have experienced what you have experienced before. Most experiences have some degree of difference in them, and not everyone has experienced the exact same thing in the exact same way. But there are likely many who have experienced something similar to what you have, and who have overcome it, or at least they figured out a way to deal with it. So it would make sense that you would consult these people, the people who've been there, done that, instead of somebody who has actually no idea what you might be going through because they've not experienced it themselves. It's like asking somebody to describe to you what a strawberry tastes like when they've never had a strawberry. Business owners face common challenges, and those in the same industry, for example, tend to have the most identical challenges. So if you think about your life like that, it would make sense that you would try to find somebody who has experienced what you have. So why not reach out to those people and get help and direction? Whether you're thinking about a new path that you want to tread, finding someone to bounce things off of, that's been there and experienced that is really one of the best things that you can do. In a recent article that I read, Chris Reynolds, the founder of the Business Method, he asked two questions before taking advice from somebody. The first is, has this person giving me advice created the results I want to create? And the second question is, if I knew what to do, what would I do? If your guidance can be verified, y'all, then there's a higher likelihood that you'll take action on your own behalf. There is something to be said for knowing that you aren't recreating a wheel, and it's a relief to know that. Because a lot of times when we're in, we feel like we're in kind of like a catch-22, or we're at a crossroads, we feel like we got to start from scratch, and that's majority of the time that's not the case. And you can get real and reliable support from others who've paved the way already. I can't begin to tell you how many people reach out to me who are coming out of the spiritual closet because they've heard of the work that I do. Therapists, coaches, counselors, they reach out to me all the time. But even people who are really connecting with their empathic gifts And there are other gifts. There are other divinely given gifts. They're reaching out saying, hey, you know what do I do? How do I build on this? How to create a sense of safety for myself? And I have found great reward in teaching people to help themselves. But also, I'll tell you this, I love when I can find somebody to help me. I'm the first person to say, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I got to find somebody because guess what? I don't want to go through difficulty that I don't need to go through if I can reach out to somebody or some people and get help. So I found great reward in doing that because they've been there. They've done that. So go to people who are familiar with the challenge that you have or the experience that you'd like to have, not to people who have absolutely no clue, because most likely those people will just be thinking out loud and out of their ears rather than responding from life experience. The second person that would be great to reach out to is somebody who knows you well, and here's the thing, who can also be impartial. The second half of this one is perhaps, for me, most significant than the first. So, sure, we all want to get advice and direction from those people who know us, but what we really need the majority of the time is somebody who can give us as much of an unbiased perspective as possible and allow us to find our own way given the options that they offer us in addition to what we think of. I encounter so many people who find interest in certain hobbies or decide that they want to change their profession altogether and come to me either after many years of not having worked with me, they revisit, or within a current connection, therapeutic connection, because they know two things about me. One, I know them and I get downloads about what might be in their best interest to explore. And two, I practice impartiality as often as I possibly can. No therapist is entirely objective. That's just the truth because we are triggered by our own things. But I do my best to make sure that I come from an objective place. The truth is that I get hunches about what suits people best and will have no problem sharing that with them. And of course, connecting with my guides and theirs about what steps to take is always a part of my course of action. And as a seasoned therapist or coach does, I leave the last decision up to the person or the client. Even though I say I have a strong sense that this might be a good direction for you to go in, I always say, but you need to take responsibility for the direction that you decide to move in and the decisions you make. They need to know their truth about what feels right to them. Now, some people would really like to move forward in some way, but they're scared. Or some people doubt their qualifications or their ability to try something new or to take a risk or a leap of faith. But connecting with somebody who knows you well as someone who might share the same values, right, is paramount because they have a different perspective and they could tell you to do something different than they did when they took their leap of faith and changed their direction in life. They've already done the testing, right? You don't want to reach out to somebody who doesn't share your value system because if they don't, then they'll only have their subjective perspective and their own value system that they'll guide you from. You wouldn't go to a right-wing conservative person if you're a left-wing liberal, would you? No. The thing I want you to know is that there is always someone who has a pulse on who you are and who, even if they don't know you best, shares some of that same values and has the ability to advise you based on a conversation that you'll have with them about what you want and what you are and who you are. None of us are in this life alone, and there's always somebody out there to help, even if they're a complete stranger, but who have experienced what you have. Recently, I had a man from India reach out to me to get my guidance about his therapy practice. He is also intuitive and uses past life regression hypnotherapy in his work. Somehow, he found me all the way here in Georgia, and of course the internet is really great for that, and we have a call set up to talk further. There's always somebody who has done what you want to do and who has an educational and experiential perspective about the do's and don'ts for you. Now, this third one, I kind of really relate more to business, but I'm going to try to tap it into regular people lives, okay? So this third one is former and current customers, okay? Every business has or has had customers, and their feedback is invaluable. Even in the group context of any kind of interest, there are people who can share their experience with you about what worked and what didn't. Businesses spend millions of dollars getting customer feedback for a reason. You can't just create a company or write a rough draft of a book and think it's ready for a permanent seat at the table. Businesses undergo constant scrutiny and revision of business plans to optimize their ability to serve their ideal customers and to get to the heart of what matters for the people whom they serve. Feedback is invaluable when you're trying to improve any aspect of your life. You know, you see a lot of people on social media, maybe they're involved in using new weight loss products or testing out logos or book covers. They throw it up on social media and get feedback because they in their own right are too subjective to make a decision. When I joined a gym, my trainer would tweak movements, and it would make all the difference in the world to my workouts. Had I not had her do that, I'd still be kind of doing the same old thing. Having somebody read your work, critique your progress, tell you and show you how you could practice quality improvement is way more valuable than you could possibly imagine. Even in relationships, you might run something by somebody and say, hey, you know what, this came up. I handled it this way. What do you think? Could I have done it differently? And of course, always go with your inner guidance about which direction you should move into. Don't let fear lead you or your ego to tell you to play it safe all the time. Find out everything you can find out about a subject. Read articles, surf the internet, get books, talk to people, do your own field testing so that the decision that you do make feels filled with both practical and intuitive knowledge. I hope this has helped you, if you are at a crossroads. And my hope is that, as always, you will reach out to other people to help, because you know what? That's why God gives us other people. I wish you a blessed day, a wonderful week, and as always, live intuitively.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend. And be sure to give us some stars and a favorable review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in.